it was truly a mirage. Freedom's locked a cell away from Julian Assange. Our First Amendment rights are by his side, behind bars, and the next voices silenced will be ours. Rest assured, democracy is rotting in the dark. Rest assured, we vilified dissenters, pushed out black renters, and tore down their housing just to build a little urban park. God, I tell you, old America really knows how to leave its mark. Blaze a trail, leave 100 scars. Rip your free speech out your throat, demonize the man who told you it was so, and leave him freezing in a cell in Belmarsh, perpetually awaiting extradition, thrown to the wolves of claustrophobia and malnutrition. And all that we can hope is that we catch Uncle Joe in a fleeting lucid moment of his flickering senile fascist mission. That maybe we could trick him into thinking Julian is just some sweet blonde middle school Christian, and she got mixed up with a few bad apples, slapped with some charges, and thrown into prison. Joe would set him free without a moment's hesitation under one condition: that he can sniff her hair before she goes back to school and he goes back to business. But if Joe's just had his shots, then we haven't got a chance of getting past his black and white vision, getting past his gut reaction to appease all of his donors' sick requests and shape policy and law around corporate mandated decisions. So really, all along, I think Julian was one man standing in a tempest with the fearlessness of true conviction. And if his is the only conviction we see after he shed a light on this country's most poisonous schemes all come to fruition, and we all collectively stare at the ground because we felt like our hands were too tied beyond signing petitions, while he's tortured to death for attempting to warn and enlighten admittedly not quite the brightest of citizens. And half of this country just won't take the time to uncover the truth, or they just don't mind, so they're quick to dismiss it and say it's a difficult position. Then we're back to the comfort of centrist delusion. We're right back to sleep for those ignorant sheep who resisted themselves into one protracted contusion, twisting themselves into knots to correct all your stimulus check-based confusion, wrapping their necks around their backs as they justify overflow migrant detention or fracking pollution. Then Kamala laughs, and the camera pans down to her shoes. And that footage is 90% of your 6 o'clock news. Except for a feel-good story about a man who at 95 years young just made Employee of the Month at Whole Foods. And the $50 gift card means this month he'll afford his prescriptions and meals, and he won't have to choose. This is the machine that a man named Julian Assange threw his body on the gears of for you. So to cry out for his freedom is the least that we can do. Now best believe the feds will serve to muddy up the truth, but rest assured the temperature in Belmarsh is an icy 22, and Julian is shivering in a solitary room without a view. Rest assured Obama loves a whistleblower just about as much as he loves weddings where he doesn't get to detonate the groom. Rest assured Obama bought the plot where all our First Amendment rights are gonna rot and demanded that they carve his smiling likeness on the tomb. So that when you come to pay respects to your free speech rights and a somber feeling hits you and you look up to the sky, the answer will be staring you right in the eyes to the questions of why and of who. So if you thought you saw your freedom, then they wanted you to. Human rights are mutable, and Julian is proof. Our First Amendment rights are stuck in solitary too. And the next voice silent might be you.
Although he's not the slickest vulture to have ever picked a carcass, he's just the kind to catch us at our darkest for an easy harvest. Just the kind to serve us to the markets and see you lose your home before his donors let him bargain. Who'll give a cop the go-ahead to shoot you in the leg before they let you harm a target. And being an American, I love watching garbage, but it's overload. And this is not my first rodeo. I don't drop mics, but I choke slam podiums, and so we go. Little bit of Troy, a little Roanoke. Karma, come and hold me close. Tell me how you told me so. I'm overboard, blowing out. I'm holy ghosted, stolen shroud. Soaked in old petroleum and calling down the rolling clouds. Slowly move my mouth and form the only sound I knew, and it was always out of tune, but it's the ugly fucking truth, and now it's flowing out. Break the banks, flood the basin. I transcribed a translation spoken out of Morse code and straight into capsaicin. And God, I hope it suits your station, cause it's my last release that won't require proof of vaccination. I got all my rates adjusted for infection and inflation, bloating and decay and all the perks of radiation. We see the virus for the profits, not the patients. Honey, look at all these records set for all the corporations. When COVID started spreading, they were just a side of celebration. They got one record quarter in the bag and now they're all impatient. They'd rather have a toe to tag than see a mouth to feed, or worse, a kid in need of education. And honey, only money's making that distinction. They're gonna thin the herd straight through starvation to the brink of our extinction. Capitalism favors innovation and is never at a loss for ways to make us hate our liberation, cloud our vision. Somewhere in America, a man with no money in the bank is on his way to City Hall to go complain about proposals for a soup kitchen. And he'll never see the tiny bit of irony that floats in all the tragedy of his position. And he's not the only one, it's an American tradition. So it goes, in endless perpetuity, we never deviated from the mission. I set out the ritual and listened from the sand, held my head between my hands and muttered dying would be easy, life's an everyday decision. And I'm not the only one, it's an American tradition. I'm not the only one, it's an American tradition. I bet you thought that Trump would go to jail and Joe would listen. You're not the only one, it's an American tradition. I bet you thought that Trump would go to jail and Joe would listen. Lips, brand new taxes, starving all the billionaires and neutering their Visa Maxes. Topple Congress off their axis, mobilize the homeless, give them axes, call it praxis. Chop a couple limbs off the legislative branches. We'll show you the difference between air as a human right and guaranteed oxygen access. Octogenarians who barely know what day it is are culling countless citizens while sitting on a dais made of ignorance that was built on the graves of the slaves made to labor for its self-declared significance. And all to build a Congress full of millionaires who make their fortunes insider trading while they shit on all the indigent. So I got a bone to pick with our leaders, and I'll start with the ligaments. Pick right through the muscle, dig the marrow out, and serve it to the unhoused millions living in their minivans or watching their belongings get evicted from their tenement. I have a dream where we breach the walls of Congress and just let them in.
No, Indie Left, what is happening here?
To check out independentleft.news.
The Indie News Network.
Indie Left News.
Oh, hey, Indie Left.
Independentleft.news. Great work.
Indie Left News.
Independentleft.news.
Independent Left News.
Shout out to Independent Left News. Shout out.
Oh, what's up, Independent Left?
Friend show.
Thank you, independentleft.news.
The INN, Indie, you're wonderful.
I think Indie was onto something.
Independent News Network, Indie News.
Yeah. What's up, Indie, over on Rockfin?
Independent News Network, also known as INN.
Indie Left News.
I don't know if I would have made it through that 3 weeks without Indie, honestly.
No, I was just going to ask Indie.
A huge thank you and shout out to Indie Left.
No, you know what we're doing? We're world building, Indie.
Indie Left News.
You were doing the INN recruiting.
Indie News.
Independent Left News.
Shout out to Independent Left News.
Check out Independent Left News.
At Kennedy News.
I see Indie's in the chat. Hi, Indie. Okay, great. Bye.
Hi, Sabby. Bye, Sab. Okay, great. Bye. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Joe really found that, and that's beautiful. Hi, everybody. It is Wednesday night, not Sunday night for How Do We Miss That special edition. But actually, we had a couple stories that we didn't get a chance to get to. Well, we had one story we didn't get a chance to get to the other night with Kit. And I wanted to also get to something that's happened in the last couple days. I mean, we talked, I think, about Substack versus Twitter on Sunday night, but there have certainly been developments there. Some stuff that I've learned, some stuff I wanted to talk about with regard to Substack Notes and the launch of Substack Notes. I don't know if anybody's really been paying attention, but it did launch on yesterday, and it's been it's been really cool. I've been enjoying it. So this is Indy. Hi, I'm Indy. I got this guy sitting next to me when you're looking at the desktop, but on the mobile, when you watched on mobile, he's actually underneath me. Ha ha. Indy on top. What else is new? Oh God, that's a terrible thing to say. Anyway, sorry. I apologize. Lord, I apologize. And you know what? We have a split screen 2-box too. Check that stuff out.
Pygmies in New Guinea.
No starving pygmies in New Guinea. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's exactly right. We got to go Larry the Cable Guy. All right, so I'm going to get quickly. So How Do We Miss That We Know is a podcast featuring independent journalists. They challenge narratives. They call out imperialism. They question all kinds of crap. So that's what we're doing here tonight.
Bowling.
Once in a while, maybe. So we only have really one article that we're going to read tonight. Actually, a couple, but first article is actually out of the Consent Factory and our friend over at CJ Hopkins, who, by the way, we're going to get more into what CJ Hopkins has been up to over on Substack Notes. He's one of the first people that's embraced it, but he has a website called the Consent Factory.
You have me cut hella weird, by the way.
Yeah, you are cut hella weird. Why is that?
I don't know.
Well, let's fix that. Thank you.
Presley, you have me set for a 3-box, probably.
Yeah, you still are set for a 3-box. Cam 2. There we go. Now respect.
Everybody, I'm here. I'm over here. Oh no, this way.
Camera 1, camera 2. Camera 1, camera 2. Yes, that's right. Thank you. Thank you. We're fixed. Okay, everyone. Little technical glitches. We're still getting used to not having Kit here. By the way, thank you to Kit for coming on Sunday night. That was a blast. I hope to have you back sometime. You're welcome back anytime you want. Just reach out. I don't know why now we're seeing some of this green, but I'm going to let that go. Anyway, Consent Factory, New Normal Left. What is this? So I was going to do this on Sunday night. I love CJ Hopkins. This year I really discovered his work and snarky and accurate and calling out the crap. And we've been covering a bunch of his articles. So he went to London to speak to the left. Now, no, not the left that you're probably thinking of. Well, not that we're thinking of, but most people. Not the mask-wearing, Ukrainian flag-flying left. Not the pronoun-using segregationist left. Not the WEF, WHO, FBI, CIA, DHS, and MI6-loving left. Basically, the TYT boutique left. Not the global capitalist, new normal left. The other left. The old-school left. The COVID-denying, conspiracy-theorizing, Putin-loving, far-right extremist left. Yeah, we know. Yes, they do. But Anna got canceled. Now she's a right-winger too, apparently. So there were approximately 150 of them. Yeah, I don't want to ask them. Come on. And we gathered in a homophobic, quote-unquote, church in Islington. Yes, Islington, which is more or less the British headquarters to the new normal left. We didn't care. Let them come for us, we said. They didn't. It was a Saturday. They were probably out shopping or hunting down imaginary anti-Semites like Jeremy Corbyn. Mm-hmm. So we went ahead and did our thing. Our thing was a conference loosely based on leftist opposition to the World Economic Forum and its assorted dystopian visions of our future. Eating the bugs and owning nothing and being happy, that kind of stuff. I was invited by this group called
Nothing
and love it. I was invited by this group called Real Left to speak on a panel with Fabio Vici.
Fabio.
Not that Fabio, a professor of critical theory at Cardiff University. I'm guessing he's British.
In my head, it's that Fabio.
Yes, well,
so
with a British accent.
Exactly.
They didn't talk about
way better.
Well, they didn't talk about the World Economic Forum very much. They mostly talked about global capitalism, totalitarianism, and the new normal left. And here are some of the broad strokes of what I said at the conference. And again, this is C.J. Hopkins, writer for The Consent Factory. He's an American based in Germany, outstanding independent journalist. He also writes with Off Guardian. In order to understand what happened to the left, i.e. how it became the new normal left, you have to understand the history of global capitalism over the last 30 years or so. Actually, you've got to go back a little farther, back to the early 20th century, when the great ideological game was still afoot. Back then, capitalism, having overthrown the aristocracies, was on the march, transforming the world into one big marketplace. It was challenged by two opposing ideologies, fascism and communism, and they fought it out. Long story short, capitalism won. Yeah, we're really reaping the benefits of that.
Afoot.
Right? So
like
global
Sherlock Holmesing this?
Seriously. Global capitalism was born, Global Cap. It's one big global capitalist world now. It has been since the early 1990s, when I graduated high school-ish. Global Cap has no external adversaries, so it has nothing to do but clear and hold, i.e. wipe out pockets of internal resistance and implement ideological uniformity, which is what it's been doing for the last 30 years. First in the Soviet bloc, then in the global war on terror, and finally in our so-called Western democracies, as we've just experienced up close and personal during the shock and awe phase of the rollout of the new normal, and are continuing to experience, albeit somewhat less dramatically. What was with
shock
the
and awe?
Shock and awe?
It's just yeah.
You know, they started this new normal crap like 2 months or 3 months into COVID. I remember them like starting to plant that seed into me. I was still watching corporate media, at least somewhat at that point. So I was watching the news with my wife, and I could hear them planting this return to normalcy, the new normal. In other words, Global Cap is going totalitarian. That is what the new normal is. It is not your granddad's totalitarianism. It's a new global capitalist form of totalitarianism. It displays
straight out of Idiocracy, Global
Cap. That's right.
Yeah.
It displays a number of familiar features: suspension of constitutional rights, official propaganda, goon squad, censorship, ubiquitous symbols of ideological conformity, gratuitous restrictions of freedom of movement and other aspects of everyday life, 15-minute cities, anyone, hatred and persecution of the official Untermenschen, segregation, that's the unvaccinated, criminalization of dissent, mob violence, book burning, which we're literally experiencing right now, show trials, etc., but there won't be anyone goose-stepping around in jackboots shrieking about the master race. It's not that kind of totalitarian.
But
exactly, I was going to say, actually, didn't the Ukrainians just do that like this week? Like you were showing
goose stepping.
Like you were showing a video. You're like, was that a goose step? Strategery? That's right, Harold. Strategery. To understand it, which it would behoove us to do, we need to understand global capitalist ideology, which isn't as easy as it sounds. Global capitalism has no ideology. Rather, its ideology is reality. And when you have no ideological adversaries, you don't need an ideology. You're basically God. Reality is whatever you say it is, and whoever disagrees is a science denier, or a conspiracy theorist, or a Jim Bob, or a malinformationist, or some other type of deluded extremist. You needn't argue with ideology with anyone, because you have no ideological opponents. Society is divided into two fundamental groups: the normal people who accept reality, that's the normies that we call them, and B, the deviants and extremists, my people, who do not. Your political... My people. Your political and ideological opponents are pathologized, preemptively delegitimized. After all, who would argue against reality except liars and the clinically insane? Yes, of course, there is intramural political and ideological conflict within the confines of so-called normality. Breaking points versus TYT. What?
And Frisbee.
And Frisbee. Well, that is within the confines. So just as there is intramural Frisbee in competition between global corporations, right? You read ahead. That wasn't fair. But challenging the ideological system itself is challenging the ideological system itself is, of course, impossible because there is no ground outside it from which to mount an attack because there is no ideology. We are whatever reality is. This is probably the hardest thing for most of us to come to terms with, that there is no ideological territory outside global capitalism. There is no outside. There are no external adversaries. There are only insurgencies and counterinsurgency ops. The rest is just...
Sounds like Counter-Strike.
Well, the rest is intramural competition, which immediately made me think of Tim Dillon going, it's all fake business. It's all fake business.
It's all intramural frisbee.
That's it. And here's another thing that we need to understand about global capitalist ideology. And it isn't going to make my conservative readers or my libertarian readers or my leftist readers happy, but it is essential to understanding the new normie left and the shape of the current ideological landscape. I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible and not get lost in a bunch of post-structuralist mumbo-jumbo. Ready? Okay. Here we go. I love this.
Here we go.
Capitalism is a values decoding machine. It decodes society of despotic values, i.e. religious, racist, socialist, traditional values, and any and all values that interfere with the unimpeded flows of capital. Capitalism does not distinguish. This is how capitalism, or democracy if you're squeamish, freed us from a despotic reality in which values emanated from the aristocracies, kings, priests, the church, etc. Basically, it transferred the emanation of and enforcement of values from despotic structures to the marketplace, where everything is essentially a commodity. Sure. So hurrah! Well, as somebody who is in sales, I know people that would certainly celebrate that. So hurrah! Capitalism freed us from despotism. Great. I'm grateful. I'm not a big fan of despotism. The problem is it's just a machine, and it has no off switch. And now it dominates the entire planet unopposed or unrestricted in any meaningful way. So it's doing
different than despotism.
So it's doing what it's designed to do, stripping societies of their despotic values, rendering everything and everyone a commodity, establishing and enforcing ideological uniformity, neutralizing pockets of internal resistance. Through COINTELPRO, through all kinds of different methods. But the vast majority of that resistance is reactionary. I don't mean that in the pejorative sense. Most of the opposition to the new normal has come from the traditional political right, from folks who are trying to preserve their values, i.e. to prevent them from being decoded by the global cap values decoding machine. A lot of these folks don't see it that way because they don't want to face the fact that what they're resisting is global capitalism. They call it other names like crony capitalism or corporatism, which is one of my favorites. That's what I call it. Or cultural Marxism.
Cultural Marxism.
Right. I don't really call
communism.
I don't really care what they call it, except when they call it communism, which just makes them sound extremely silly. What?
Labels are bad.
What? I've never heard anybody say that before. What?
Labels are bad.
Labels are bad? No. So the point is that these folks comprise a reactionary force that's pushing back against the advance of global cap and its ideology, whether they know what they're resisting or not. Russia is another such reactionary force, at least insofar as it's attempting to defend what remains of its national sovereignty. Syria and Iran are two other examples. All these reactionary forces are integrated within global cap system and at the same time are resisting their absorption by it. The dynamics are complex. It isn't a cartoon or a Hollywood movie with good guys and bad guys. Yeah, they're all bad guys. That's right. That's what we've been saying. There are no good guys. There are no good guys anywhere here. This is what we've been trying to explain to everyone. Anyway, the battlefield looks like this. You've got global cap conducting its clear and hold up. And you've got the reactionary, populist backlash against it. Again, labels are bad. And that's it. Those are the only significant forces on the battlefield currently. We're basically, which brings us to the miserable state of the left. Hello, folks.
Miserable liberals?
The left, and I mean the left broadly, so liberals and both serious and Brooklyn leftists are in an ideological double bind. Either they align with an increasingly totalitarian global cap, or they align with the reactionary backlash against it. Yeah, I know which side I've gone to. They can't align with the reactionaries because a lot of them are, somewhat bigoted, or they believe in God, or They object to drag queens rubbing themselves all over kids. Jim Bob. Praise Jim Bob. Many of them own multiple firearms. That's i.e. the reactionaries, not the drag queens. Well, some of the drag queens too. And they fly giant American flags outside their homes, or whatever the flags they fly in Great Britain. They also sometimes fly Ukraine flags and back to blue and the thin blue line flags. And there's a certain, Trump flags. You see them all. We know who he's talking about. Many of them have voted for Trump or Brexit or the AfD here in Germany or the National Rally in France or the Brothers of Italy. These are not BBC NPR listening people. These are not pronoun using people. Yeah. No, these are the scary working class people that don't have time for your bullshit. So the left has aligned with Global Cap, which after all is still decoding all these nasty despotic values like racism and other forms of bigotry, and is opposing dictators and religious zealots and is spreading democracy, quote unquote, across the planet. Right. That's the uniformity where you have to comply and you have to adhere to the state narrative or you're going to be canceled or your bank account's going to be shut off and linked. That's right. It's futile.
It's futile.
We have to get that sound bit. You might think I'm being facetious. I'm not. Global capitalism is still doing that, which I support, as do all liberals and leftists.
We're fucked.
Yeah. But the catch is, as global capitalism continues to do that and makes a big show of doing that, it's also going totalitarian, which we've seen. It's not decoding those despotic values out of the goodness of its heart. What it's doing is establishing ideological uniformity. The problem is it has no ideology. So how do you do that? All it knows is how to decode values, transforming societies into markets and everything in them into valueless commodities, which it is doing in totalitarian fashion. The Nazis referred to this process as Gleichschaltung, which is the synchronization of all elements of society according to official ideology. That is what is happening currently globally. Wow. Damn. Okay. Something about I told the conference in London, I wish I had some brilliant plan of action to offer. Sadly, I do not. Probably no one does at this stage of things. After all, the new normal is just getting started. But that said, I'm sure the one thing I'm sure about is if you don't want to end up eating Z-bugs and owning nothing and being happy in your AI-monitored 15-minute city while you wait for your social credit app to update your vaccination record so you can access your CBDC account and make another minimum payment on your ever-deepening credit card debt, it would probably be a pretty good idea to understand what's actually happening. Or maybe not. What do I know? I'm just an old far-right extremist lefty. I love CJ Hopkins. He's so good.
Yep.
Consent Factory. Know it. Subscribe to it. Consentfactory.org. It is being blocked. It is being censored. It is being banned like crazy. Let me switch over. Now we can check out some chat. Hi, 20 people watching. Thank you. Love you. So Indy's giving us a quickie. Yes, Kate, we have a quickie tonight. We just have a couple of quick stories here. Bert. Yeah. Oh, and I didn't even put the right thumbnail in here. Look at this. Slip in. Oh, I didn't make one yet, did I? That's why. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, like I said, was Substack Notes. And that is something that Reef is not terribly interested in. And I'll tell you right now. I love him, but he's just not. Platforms. I'm going to say it 17 times.
Platforms.
That's right. So I want to go to this and let's switch to slideshow off. Boom. Okay. And now we'll go back to this and we're seeing my screen. Yay! It works. Okay. So Substack Notes, you'll notice, is very similar look and feel to Twitter. This is Substack Notes. They need a logo real bad for it. It has a news feed. It has alerts and an inbox. And this is actually the link for Notes itself. This is chat, which is a private chat between me and my subscribers. Then you have a reader so that you can browse all different Substacks. Very cool. And then you can create a new note. Live on How Do We Miss That? Leave a, yeah, see, this is why I needed a keyboard. Live on How Do We Miss That? Say hi to our audience. Audioance, yes.
There we go.
Okay, so we're gonna hit that, and we just made a post on there on the network. Hey, Taibbi's back. So there's Matt Taibbi. He's jumping in. More Twitter Files reports are coming, holding up my end of the deal. These will appear on Twitter first. They just won't be on my account since I wouldn't wipe my ass with Twitter after the events of last week.
After the events of last week? Jesus
Christ. Damn! Okay, that's breaking news right there. We need a breaking news sound. Breaking news. Matt Taibbi would not wipe his ass with Twitter. Okay. So Racket News, I'm guessing Racket News is probably going to set up new article, the Elon portion of the Twitter file. So I'm just scrolling through my news feed. Oh, goodness gracious. Look who's here. By the way,
Walker Bragman. Ugh.
You can block or hide notes from Walker. So we got Orf here. And this is just looking at the home feed. So these are some popular ones. We can also look specifically at the people I'm subscribed to. That's kind of like the following tab. Oh, there's our buddies Do Dissidents checking in. Say hi to our live audience. Okay, so we're having a conversation. I'm liking that. I'm replying. You can restack, as they've been calling it. You've got notifications up here, and this is people who replied.
I already hate that the buttons are in the wrong place.
Well, that's your opinion, man. So what's really cool is you can.
They're different than Twitter. It's Twitter, but everything in a slightly different place.
Well, people said that this is more closely related to Truth Social, and you can see that conversations are happening. You have quote tweets and you have replies effectively. You've got people at Substack that are replying and engaged. This is one of the founders, Chris Best, who's been thanking people and welcoming people to the new platform. I think this is a really cool thing that you've got. And this guy, Hamish, who's been really cool also. He's another co-founder. He's their chief writing officer. So
it's not Hamish. Like
it's Hamish McKenzie.
Like Hamish.
It's Hamish McKenzie. I'm sure he probably doesn't have that kind of an accent, but I hear Fat Bastard's voice when I hear him speak in my mind. So I did want to talk a little bit about the article that they put out, which was Notes Question Answered yesterday, and they talked about that it's a new space where writers can publish short form posts, share ideas with each other and their readers. Through Notes, writers and readers, through them, writers and readers can recommend posts, links, images, quotes, leave comments, and more. Pretty similar flow-wise, look and feel. There's an app. I use the app. As you start exploring it, and post your own, you'll hear some answers. So why should I use it? Well, not all ideas or commentary warrant writing and emailing out a new post to subscribers. Notes allows them to post short-form content. It's a public forum. The ultimate goal on Substack is to convert casual readers into paying subscribers. And maybe the intermediary step of being a free subscriber in between. And I'm perfectly happy to have free subscribers, and go to indiemediatoday.substack.com or indiemedia.today to subscribe to our Substack at any time. So, readers might come across a writer's profile by way of a reply they left on another writer's note, or a post that someone restacked, right? Readers can then subscribe in just one click, helping writers build their email list. And I will tell you that it's helped me. I've already got, I think, 25 or 30 new subs in the last day. Judd Legume, Bean Boy, posted that he got 3,500 new subs since this thing launched already. Free subs. So how could I use Notes? Well, here are some examples of what could be done. Notes give writers and readers the ability to recommend almost anything, including posts, quotes, comments, images, and links. When writers recommend great writing and ideas, their own and especially that of other writers they love, everyone grows. So in Notes, writers might write short form posts like microblogging. Twitter, anyone? They might restack posts they enjoyed. I did some of that. Promote a recent post by sharing a quote, or tag a writer they admire to start a conversation, or reply to the notes that they find most interesting. I've done all 5 of these things. And here's an example. I didn't do the quote thing, but the quote thing is kind of cool because it puts it into italics and kind of breaks it out. Another quote unearthed, right? Notes is designed to be a seamless extension of writer Substacks, centralizing the conversation around their writing and ideas. But this way, this gives you like a place to hang out in between publishing Substack. So how does it differ from chat? What's a Substack? That's right, Fred. That's hilarious. A Substack is anything that you want it to be. And check out Indie's Tech Tips. Rumble.com/Indie's Tech Tips. INDIES Tech Tips. And you'll be able to... Just a tip. Well, they're short. But chat is a tool to talk privately with my subs. Notes is a public forum and a way to interact with the greater Substack network to get your work and ideas in front of more readers. How's it different from social media? And here's the key, that while it may look similar to social feeds, the key difference is in what you don't see, which is that the Substack network runs on paid subs.ads. It's social media with a heart transplant. While attention is the lifeblood of ad-based social media, and this was actually in the other explanation article I think that we read the other night, a subscription network's lifeblood is the money that gets paid to people who are doing worthy work within it. People like Matt Taibbi, people like Orf, people like CJ Hopkins, who's on here, and us. In legacy social networks, almost all the financial rewards go to the owners of the platforms. In Substack's network, the vast majority of the financial rewards, an average of 86%, go to the creators of the content. I like that. And not only that, but Substack is even giving you the ability to buy in to Substack itself and own shares of Substack for as little as $100 a piece. So how can I create a Substack account just to use notes? Sign up for a reader account, subscribe to your favorite writers, and voila, you can use notes. Pretty cool. Right? How do you post one? There you go. You just saw me post one. You click that little plus, you write something, and you can see he's doing it there.
Brad in chat says they need to meet this Substack fellow.
Yeah. Well, he's pretty cool.
Heller.
His name is Hamish.
Hamish.
Yes.
A
Ham and
Substack
cheese-ish?
is several sandwiches piled on top of each other.
See, that's a ham and cheese-ish.
A Substack, if you will.
A stack of subs. Or it could be submarines on top of each other. Like literally. Your notes can contain simple text or more. It can contain images, up to 6, or GIFs. GIFs are available only on the web in the app soon. So far, again, it's launched. Day one, guys.
More than Twitter. Two more than Twitter. Are they just going to do that now? Is it going to be keep upping?
Rich text.
Substack's going to have 7.
I hope so.
And Twitter's going to have.
Hey man, platform wars benefits all of us in some ways. All right. Again, available on the web. You've got mentions is only on the web, and I caught that yesterday, and I was like, hey, I noticed that I can't tag people, but you can tag people on the web, which is really cool. Links, you can paste the URL, see a rich link preview. The only one that you can't is Twitter. And you can restack with a note. That's like quote tweeting. And then there are quotes, which is highlighting text from a post and then restacking that as a note itself. That's the one where you had it like in italics and broken out. In the future, that's awesome.
Quote tweet, pretty much.
Right. You'll be able to add videos, audio, and more media to a note. Wow.
Okay.
All right. So where do they show up? It's going to be on a tab. They actually changed this already. It's on my user profile. So if you click on here, my user profile is here. And I believe now here's the latest. So this is what I've restacked. You see, I shared CJ Hopkins, and go look at that, the new normal left. And this is the restacking, a restack of a restack, because he wrote it. He published it this morning and restacked it in the afternoon because he published it and he actually talked about this above.
Does Substack say anything about their API in this?
No.
How well does a Substack embed?
Oh, very well.
Does a note embed?
Very well. A Substack embeds in a note nicely. I put it into Discord. I put it into Twitter. I've put it into, taking the link of a note like this, copy link, and then pasting that link into different social media platforms to see how it showed up.
Is there an embed HTML in there somewhere for a note?
Not yet, but I'm guessing that that's coming. But here's what happened. Okay. So CJ was saying that on Twitter, it's become my habit to dash off a tweet in the morning Berlin time. That's like midnight Pacific, right? Dead of night Eastern. Then retweet it later when USA wakes up in order to get it in front of the North American people. I assume that's a good strategy for notes. And she's saying, yes, that is. Gary's right. And one of the things is you can actually, if you write it, you can edit. So originally she stopped it here. Then she says, Gary Sharp is right. Subscribe tab is mostly chronological, but the home tab is more dynamic and does basic ranking to favor notes from your subscriptions over notes from your extended network. Already, you're getting prioritization. And I knew that was going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And here's a writers only chat room for notes, feedback, and questions, which I can access because I'm a writer. Yes, there is an edit button, E. Heller. There is an edit button.
So red is links, I guess, or no, blue is links.
Blue is just blue is links. That's orange is just part of the reader theme.
Okay.
The reader theme.
What is that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like a button that you could put in?
Where?
I'm just confused. Go back to what you were looking at. Like it said subscribed in a box and home in a box. Like how would you make your own box? And why make a box?
You mean like this?
Like you see the
this
in the text.
This right. They're talking about specifically tabs on a page or within the app. I don't know why or how.
Yeah, but
there's got to be a way to do that. Yep.
So like try using.
So watch this though.
Make a new thing.
I can edit and say.
Sure. So hit
10 minutes later.
Think of what it's using. Hit 3. Hold on. Hold on. Jesus. Hold on. God. I'm trying to think of what this is called. It's above. It's like tilde, but don't shift to get the actual Inya. Just put 3 tildes. 1, 2, 3. And then type.
Type what?
Anything. And then put those 3 again. I'm just wondering if it's using like backslash commands. Or whatever.
I don't think so. No. They're not using that yet.
Like sometimes it's 3 stars. Sometimes it's like somewhere they were able to put that subscribe tab in as a thing. But
you know what's funny is I didn't send out a Substack to everybody to tell them that we were going live. That's pretty funny. Usually we do that. So I want to get back to notes, questions answered. Where do my notes show up? They show up on your profile, on a personal profile, which they can find, and you can link to it. Can I edit a note after it's published? Yes. You click on the 3 dots and you can actually edit the note and add stuff. How do I edit or delete a note? Okay. When I post a note, do my readers get notified by email? No, they're only notified in the app. And here's how we notify them about new notes. There's email digests and there's push notifications. When you publish your first note, we will push it. We might also send them push notifications for notes they haven't seen or that are trending from their favorite writers, but we will not send a push notification for every note you publish. And they'll be able to opt out. You cannot do a note just for paying subscribers because they're public. Notes are public. You want to do that, you would do that as a chat. Offering replies as a subscriber-only perk is a highly requested feature for notes, and our team is considering it for future iterations. I don't want to see that happen, but I understand. How do writers tell their subscribers they sent their first note? They actually give you like a sample draft to post and send out to all of your subscribers to make it even easier, save you time. Okay, how do you reply? You click on the little bubble down there and it pops up something that you reply. Push it real good, Ghost Star. Yeah. Hey, Craig, what's up? Lotus Notes, I think that they can't steal the word notes as a product name. Lotus Notes is the product name, but this is just notes. What will my readers see from me? In the subscribe tab, readers will see from you. Will see notes from you and notes you've replied to, posts and notes you've liked, everything, your whole activity. What's a restack? I think since we're all on Twitter, we know what a restack is. It's like a retweet. Unlike cross-posting, restacking doesn't get sent out via email to your email database. Because if, for example, and let's open up, we can go to the latest Substack versus Twitter and the Wars article. We can actually, at the bottom of this, restack. Where's the damn bottom? We have to find. There's already a cross post. Now, if I cross post, that's sending it to the entire email database, and I can send it back out.
An article,
right? That's the difference. But you can also now restack it, or restack it with a note and put a quote.
Yeah, it's like quote tweeting.
Right, and then put a quote if you want. So very cool stuff. Hey, whatever happened to Panquake E-Heller? That's really funny. Hey, whatever happened to Panquake, everybody? Here's everybody commenting on this article. Everybody's basically saying that Elon Musk is shit and that Substack should never have partnered with him in the first place, and they're doing the right thing by creating their own platform here, rival in some ways, but based upon a completely different premise, which is not selling ads, but user-involved subscriptions, which kind of funny enough. But I got an invite today to join subscription-based stuff on Twitter that's effectively trying to replicate the monthly subscription model that Substack has already put in place.
Yeah.
All right. So how do I navigate it? That's notes. You got home and subscribed. How does the algorithm work? Very important to ask. So they're designing a system that puts human beings in control. On notes, you'll find things that you deeply value because you'll only see things from writers who are in the universe of the work you already subscribe to. First version will be simple and will continue to iterate. I got to say that they've been doing an amazing job of growing their platform and listening to their users. So as they develop the product, they'll strive to make sure that writers and readers maintain control so it's easy to keep trolls out and even easier to let valuable contributors in. Judd Legume said that he's actually going to have a policy of the minute he sees like real negativity or anti-Semitism, he's just going to block you. He's not even going to mute you because he doesn't want to give all of the other readers of the comments access to that. So very, very pro free speech. But okay, how do you subscribe to a writer? Okay, there are a few ways, which is next to their name on any post of theirs, or hovering over an @ mention that was restacked, or in the suggestions list, which they come up with. Very cool. So these links are in the description. This one, as well as the post that they put up when it was now live. And it's a very similar post. You'd see I actually borrowed this image for the thumbnail tonight. Okay, and what does it do? Why did they create it? They believe it will be an important part of the new economic engine for culture. But what you see today is just the beginning. It's a long-term project, and success will ultimately be determined by the trust expressed by the writers and readers over the course of years. So some of the cool things that happened over the past day, and I would love to be able to actually scroll way, way down to like the very first time. So when they went live, I was right there. I had this right in my hand, and I was like, ooh, it's live. You know, I was just saying to Reef, like, I was wondering when they were going to push this out. These are all my old Substacks that I've been publishing, but I'm trying to get to the first note. Here it was, our first restack. Hey, notes, what's going on? So here we go. This was yesterday. And you got a couple of likes. And then I see Judd's on here, and I'm able to reply to and engage with Judd. I wish you could see all that right there. Now, if you do reply, for some reason, there's a glitch. It moves you back up to the top. This was our update for yesterday. Jonathan Cook is here. He's another Indie Media Award honoree. Go ahead, Reef. We got a bunch of those, by the way. Thank you. All right. So I'm now quote tweeting here or quote stacking Hamish McKenzie. Okay. This is one of the founders. Love the energy and passion he brings. Been using the app for a year on my iPhone. All right. It's made a massive difference in how people are seeing and engaging with Substack.
I mean, we were saying the other day that there was not really a way for Substack to push content that you aren't already aware of, right?
Well, that's that sort of, except that there's a news feed now, right? So now they can.
Yes. Right.
And you can see that I've been restacking, and I'm openly lobbying for a job. I would be open to working as an evangelist for Substack. I would love to work for Substack. I think they're a phenomenal company doing awesome things. And I've been totally on board. Here we go. So when launch happened, I got a 500 error right away. And Nick at Substack replied and said, we fixed it. You saved the launch. Like, I'm totally framing this and replying with Reef's quote from March 10th from a month ago, which is, hey, Substack, hire my man because he already promotes your platform to anyone who'll listen. So We've been talking about this for a while. I would love to go work for Substack. And I am currently seeking new employment. So if anybody is hiring and would like to hire us, Substack, if you're listening, by all means, call me, reach out. I would love to work for you guys and become the Substack evangelist. I do videos every day about Substack and notes and posts, and I would drive Reef crazy. I'll tell you, let us drive Reef crazy. Yeah. Please hire me to drive Reef crazy. I would do that. All right. So INN gets into the mix, right? And now Tara's getting into the mix. And of course, we're proud founding members. So INN, we're quote tweeting INN, and there's INN Substack. You can go right there and subscribe there. There's Tara's, and we're reminding that she's also a founding member of INN. You can follow hers. And here's the piece about Twitter's overreaction to notes over the weekend. But after playing with this, maybe it's not an overreaction because it's a pretty slick platform for day one. Tara, quote stacking, and here's Judd Legume introducing himself. Hi, I'm Judd. So I think this is a really good idea. Here's CJ Hopkins, whose article we just read. He's over here, and I welcomed him, and we had a little back and forth. Everyone on this platform, and here's where they're talking about recommending your favorite writers. And here's Caitlin's Substack, and here's Indie Media Awards, because both of them are Indie Media Award honorees. And I came up with another post. Thank you. Gordon Dimmack is on Substack. Seymour Hirsch. So I just started sharing some of the posts, most recent posts from some of my favorite writers. CJ's talking about here that he wrote this one about the Emperor Ilonicus. I remember calling him that after CJ wrote that. And then I wrote my introduction to kind of let everyone know who I am. You know, I'm co-founder of Indie News Network, founder of Indie Left News. I publish the Indie Media Today Substack every day. Co-host How Do We Miss That on Sunday nights at 10 on INN and YouTube, Indie Left News. Earlier this year, I started a tech tips channel exclusively on Rumble, help people make their visions come to life, helping me start the Substack. Big fan and advocate for the platform. Excited about this new adventure, right? Now, this sucks because this just put me all the way back at the top and I have to scroll all the way down. But what I did want to do...
Nope, you heard it here first.
Yep, they're going to work on this. Look, it's it's day one, and they're going to fix it. And I even put up a post about how it's day one and there's going to be glitches. But man, this is really smooth. But here's a short list of the ones that I write for, you know, or that I contribute to.
Day 3?
It was day one when I wrote that. Some of the clips that we shared. And then here's Mel saying, I love seeing this. And Molly Knights saying that her subscribers went crazy, which is great. And Judd Legume in this thread was also, you can now click in here and see all the replies I've had nearly 15 since yesterday. And then I replied with a screenshot. And here's what mine looks like over the last 30 days. Slick. I mean, it's definitely had an impact. This one, an upward trajectory. You see a lot of people growing. And then I saw there was a post by Judd, by Bean Boy, as you like to call him. But here's the handpicked list for today. And I'm telling them exactly what they can see. And all they have to do is click on this, and you'll be able to actually watch all 6 videos or link to them on YouTube and everywhere else that they appear. I've been tagging Suzanne Boothby and Erin Brockovich, who we featured on How Do We Miss That? A lot of the writers that we feature on How Do We Miss That, which is really cool. This is the one that I wanted you to see, which is that I decided to lay out. Yeah, that's a lot of them. You're going to have to repeat it a bunch. Because all these people and all these groups and all these networks are already on Substack. It looks like it's kind of a home for really good stuff, including, of course, us, Misty, INN, Aura.
Oh, I love that name.
Chrissy Chris. What?
What? Nothing.
I didn't even want to know.
Rich
and then, of course,
is not what?
Yeah. Link to the website, and then a link to all the other INN members that are also have profiles set up on Substack. We've got to get Jesse on there. He's the one who's missing that I tried to tag. Yeti as well. So that's Substack Notes. I got through this quicker than I wanted to, a little bit, but that's good. We didn't need to be online for forever today. Heard it here first.
Who's platform to figure out and use? And
yep. I'm really excited. Welcome back, Matt Taibbi. Holy shit! Notes from the WTF story.
Are they censoring RT here?
No, but RT's not set up. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Matt, for your courage and candor in these dark dystopian times. We are slowly falling collectively off the edge of any hope. The billionaires and politicians have weaponized and morphed mainstream journalism to sound bites, press releases, and position papers. Today, there are stenographers instead of journalists. Thank you for not giving up. I really have nothing inspiring to add, and I wish I did. As one of those who continues to be suppressed and targeted, I've lost all faith there'll ever be justice or even an investigation into any of it. Reality is that we're pawns to their bullshit game that most of us never are even allowed to play. INN member Tara Reid, folks, and she'll be live with Ray McGovern 10 p.m. Friday night. So definitely check out INN 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Tara Reid live with Ray McGovern. Let's see. I really didn't have anything else that I wanted to get through tonight.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say yeah, we'll see you Sunday night. This was a special edition of How Do We Miss That? And I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. 22 people live. Thank you. Love you. Hi over on Rockfin. Hi over on the Rumble. Your fake views, Rumble. Fake views. Over on Telegram. We're over there too. We're self-hosted on indienews.network. Hi Substack, and hi Notes to everybody who's over on Notes. Go sign up for Notes. Go subscribe to indiemediatoday.substack.com. Go support all these amazing writers that are participating day one. This is only going to grow, and I'm excited. So join me, join us, and let's have some fun. And I'm going to say keep questioning everybody's motivations, and we will see you on Sunday night, folks.
Keep listening to what little birds have to tell you. Good night, fam.
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they